Okay, so we're going to start this new file, and we're going to use a 900 by 700 pixels, and we'll do the resolution about 72 for this practice. Now you can take this resolution up if you need to for projects that you're doing. So I'm going to start by saving the document, and I'll go and find a good place to save it. You can save wherever you like to, So we've saved the file. We have a name for it, and we're going to start by using the paths setup so that all of the objects that we make here are going to be made into paths. So I'm going to use the ellipse tool and make a kind of an elliptical shape. We're making a paper towel roll, and I'm going to make the inner part of that roll, and I'll move it around to kind of make sure I get it in the exact place. So I'll use the selection tool. And now I'm going to duplicate this larger circle by holding down my Control and Alt key and clicking on the ellipse and moving it across. I'm going to use these lines this time. You can use the Shift key also when you pull that across, and make sure you keep it even as you pull it across that duplicated circle. But now I want to go up to Edit and transform this path, and I'll scale it. That is that second ellipse, and I want it to be a little smaller than the first one so that we'll have kind of an illusion of depth. So once I get that circle made a little smaller, I'll select it and I'll nudge it down using the arrow keys with the selection tool on. And I'll push it down kind of midway between the two. This is kind of drawing here, so you kind of eyeball things. I'm going to highlight both of the all of the ellipses that I've created so far and pull them up, because I'm going to make some pieces that drop down a little bit below the roll. So I have my two ellipses that I'm going to work with, and I will get the direct selection tool and select this point for the half of the ellipse, and then hit delete, and that will delete the half of this ellipse. And I'm going to use the pen tool, select and go across and down, and I'm going to connect these two halves of the ellipse and create a path. So I'm going to open my path, and you can kind of see how I'm beginning to create paths here. And I'll pull this down to the side so you can kind of see it as we're working. Now I want to take the pen tool and click and pull out, and then click down again and pull just a little bit to make a curve. And this is the one side of the paper that is being pulled out of the paper towel. So I'm selecting the path selection tool again, and I'm holding down the Control and Alt again and duplicating this curve, and I'm pulling this one up just a little bit. I'll pull my line down. You don't have to do this all the time, but if sometimes I like to do it just to make sure. Now I want that line to be up a little bit because I want it to create an illusion of depth. So it's going back in space. So the second line is up a little higher than the first. I click on that end point, and now I hold down my Alt key to make sure I don't get that second curve, and I'm going to make a sharp point across. So again, I'll click at the top, holding down my Alt key, and click to close this path in. So Now what I want to do is create some new layers to do some filling in of the path. So I'm going to click my path selection tool, and I'll click this path that has become the piece of paper towel that is coming down, and I'm going to go over to my path tool. I'm going to make sure that I have the right color, so I'll select my color selection, my foreground color, and make a light gray, and I'll hit OK. And then while the path is selected, I'll go down to fill path, and I'll fill it with that kind of neutral gray. Next thing is I want to create another path, another layer, and I will click